everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about output files. To create a connection between a Java program and a specified file, you need FileOutputStream. So to use FileOutputStream, we have to import it. Import java.io.fileOutputStream. So we have talked about import statements before, like for scanner. Okay, so now that we have this FileOutputStream, we can select a file. Let's say string file name is equal to alice.txt. And now I'm going to open that connection with this syntax. FileOutputStream is equal to new FileOutputStream with file name. So notice here file name is alice.txt. And to talk to alice.txt, we're going to use this FileOutputStream object, which I've called OutputStream. Good. Now, instead of using scanner to create the files, we're going to use a different class that is called PrintWriter. So the syntax is going to look really similar to scanner, but it's just called PrintWriter instead. Just like scanner and just like FileOutputStream, we need to import. Import java.io.PrintWriter. And now I'm going to create a PrintWriter object. PrintWriter output is equal to new PrintWriter output stream. And now that I have this ability to write to a file with a PrintWriter object, I'm going to use output.print, output.println, or output.printf to write to the file, which is super similar to system.out.print. It just puts it in the file. So let's consider that we have this file output stream and now we have PrintWriter, and let's put it together. So here I have both of my import statements. Import java.io.fileOutputStream, import java.io.PrintWriter. I made my file called alice.txt, so that's my file name. And then I'm going to create a new output stream that takes that file name. Right, so now FileOutputStream knows that you want to write to alice.txt because that's what file name is. And now you're going to say PrintWriter output is equal to new PrintWriter output stream, which relates back to the output stream. And now, for example, I can output.print hello, which puts the word hello inside the file alice.txt. Okay. So I admit this is a little bit complicated because it takes a couple of steps to open the stream and then print to it. And even then, there's more. You have to close the file. So when you create a connection to a file, the computer is reserving that memory for processing. If you don't end the connection, the computer won't release the memory and no data will get written. So let's look at an example of that. Slightly more complicated than the previous page, but in this case, I'm going to have this file called hello-world.txt, and then I'm going to create an output stream, and then I'm going to do a PrintWriter. Well, we're going to ignore the try-catch for now, and now I'm going to print line hello world and print line have a great day. Now, if you run this code, just nothing is going to appear in your file. No text is going to be written to hello world.txt. So, in order to end the connection, your PrintWriter file needs to explicitly include a .close call after you're done. So, looking again at that hello world file that we created on the previous slide, all I've done to change this code is add a output.close at the end. And now the file actually will have text written to it. And also remember, if you're using scanner and using that to read files, you should also use .close. Similar to PrintWriter, it opens up a memory connection and it might not get closed unless you explicitly do it. Cool. Now let's talk about overwriting files. If a file does not exist, PrintWriter will create it. If a file does exist, PrintWriter will overwrite it. Basically, it creates it as if it were new. Now, you might want to avoid this, so we're going to use something called NIO. let me show you a little code snippet for that. I'm expanding on this hello world.txt code. As before, we have java.io.FileOutputStream and java.io.PrintWriter. We've just talked about this. And now we have also file not found exception, but importantly for this slide, we have java.nio.file.files and java.nio.file.path. Now, if you want to avoid overwrite, you can create this path object. Path is equal to path.o of file name. And if the file already exists, then it will actually say the output file exists and it doesn't overwrite it. So basically, you're preventing the file from being overwritten if it already exists. Okay, maybe that's good because you don't actually want to write to files that haven't been created yet. But another thing that you want to do is you might want that file to already exist and be able to write to it and then add more text to it later on. That is this concept of appending to files. FileOutputStream can have an additional Boolean parameter that tells you whether you want to append to a file. So looking at the syntax again, import java.io.FileOutputStream, string file name is equal to alice.txt, FileOutputStream is equal to new FileOutputStream file name, comma, true. So this tells Java to append to a file rather than overwrite it. So now thinking back, if alice.txt already existed and had the word hello in it, you can then keep writing to it with more text if you like. Cool. So let's talk about processing files. So as you can see here, I have quite a large chunk of code written up. And so I recommend that you pause this video and type up everything that's on this slide. All right, once you've done that, we can move on and I will break down what the different parts of the code mean. Let's look at the main method. The main has string source file and dest file, right? So we can both read and write to files, remember? And now I have file input stream. Input stream is equal to null, and file output stream is equal to output stream is equal to null. So it's going to attempt to access input and output files. This is where we have a try catch. It will create a new input stream object with the source file and output stream with the destination file. But if there is a file not found exception, it will say that the stream could not be created. So now, assuming that these file input and output streams have been created, we need to create connections. So scanner input is equal to new scanner input stream, is going to look at that input stream, which is in turn connected to the input file, src file or source file. PrintWriter output is equal to new PrintWriter output stream is what's going to let you write to that output stream, which in turn is connected to the destination file, dest file. And now, looking back at the method called process file at the very top, this is a method that allows you to process files, and basically while the input file has another line. Finally, let's look at this method, which is called process file, and it takes in a scanner object called file scanner and a PrintWriter object called PrintWriter. So notice here it's taking basically scanner for input and PrintWriter for output. And now what it's going to do is it's going to try to read the file in. So while that file has a next line, it's going to read line and save the next line in that code. Cool. And now it's going to convert it to lowercase and write it to the destination, which it does with a try catch block. So we already have the line saved, so we're going to do line to lowercase to convert all those letters to lowercase, and PrintWriter.println will write to the file. Now, if there is an issue with some sort of a legal argument, then that will be caught, and it'll say that it has an error reading the line from the file scanner. So you've noticed here I've started to pepper in some try-catch blocks. One thing that you can do if you want to play around with this code is try to write it without the illegal argument exception blocks and see what happens if you try to read and write in different files. And then add the illegal argument block back in and then see what will happen there. So that will give you a sense of what happens if a file doesn't exist or if it does exist, or maybe what happens if a file is empty. Things like these are really good to play around with because that is what is going to give you a sense of what's actually going on. I recognize that when I read all this syntax out to you, it probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, which is why you should practice. At minimum, type up the code that is on this slide and with everything on there, and then start seeing what's going to happen. Okay, so that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for watching.